Hi, I'm Emmanuel Xavier, and you're watching Out at the Center.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Take your time. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Do it right. Come on, baby. Let's do it. Let's do it.
We are just days away from the general election, and the Center's Promote the Vote program would like to remind you to vote on November 4th. This year, your vote is more important than ever, which is why Promote the Vote led a drive to register 2,000 New Yorkers. The Center also hosted a series of candidate forums where candidates or their representatives responded to questions from the LGBT community about the issues important to us. You can watch clips from the forums at gaycenter.org/election2008. You're also invited to an election night party here at the Center on November 4th. Come and watch the results on the big screen with our new HD projector and cheer on your candidate. This year, the Center turned 25 and has been celebrating the last quarter century of community service with special events and activities. Robert Woodworth, currently the Director of Meeting and Conference Services and Capital Projects, was here at the beginning and sat down with journalist and critic Bill Goldstein to talk about the history of the Center and the building it is housed in. On November 13th, there will be a special event to celebrate Robert's 25 years of service with a reunion of current and former board members.
So we're here to talk about the 25th anniversary of the Center and the building, but one of the striking things is that it's also your 25th anniversary at the Center, so I'm not sure, should I ask first about the building or about you? The whole history of both of these things seems completely intertwined.
Intertwined is exactly it. It's all about the building. And we're getting ready to do the archive exhibit, which is going to open in December. And I'm writing a piece to complement that. And I realize it's all about talking about what's happened to the building, because as you tell the building story, you tell the institutional story, then you actually tell a community story. It was a school building, which meant it had big spaces with tall ceilings, large windows, built in the 19th century. And so the idea that had come right after Stonewall about the need for a community center could be met. So you could put people in and you could have a dance, you could have a meeting, you could do the kinds of things that people wanted to do and had been wanting to do ever since Stonewall.
And what attracted you to the Center when you first came to work here as a consultant in 1983? Because that was the very beginning of the Center.
The very beginning. It's what I call one of my 1940s movie plot life experiences. I was doing part-time consulting in a couple of different areas at the time. And right then there'd been this organizing activity to create the Community Council of Lesbian and Gay Organizations. And it was just sort of a happenstance. And I was in a position to be able to do it. The opportunity arose and sort of leapt at it. When the deal was finally struck with the city to buy the building, part of the deal was a grant of $50,000 to hire an architect to plan to renovate it. The first thing that she did was do a needs assessment based on talking to us, talking to other organizations, and figuring out, like, what do we need? And the conclusion was, building's not big enough. So as of 1980...
It's still not big enough.
It's
I think
still
some
not,
of the
yes,
banging
exactly.
we're hearing is
Right,
that it's
yeah.
being reconstructed and
Yeah,
expanded now.
yeah.
So.
Right now we're replacing the roof.
Flash forward, we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Center. And what have been some of the ways that you have been involved in marking the 25th anniversary of the Center?
One thing that we were very clear about 2 years ago, as we were anticipating the 25th anniversary, is that it couldn't be one event. It wasn't like have a dinner sometime and that would be it. Because the place is too big, the programs are too diverse, the community that we serve is too diverse, and so what we really need to do is mark the year. We've also focused on on trying to make some events that are really community-wide. So we built a homecoming around the conclusion of Breaking the Cycle, which is the AIDS fundraising bike ride that we do, which happened a week ago. Out Music came in to do performers on the third floor as kind of an open house, welcome back kind of event. And the diversity, like we did a Chinese film festival. We did another festival for Black lesbian films. It's hard to even pick a couple because you know you're going to forget it. Right. Another raft full of other things. But the other important part of 25 is not that you acknowledge what you did, but you think about what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. And it all circles back, in my mind, to Irving Cooperberg, who, as the first president of the Center, always told us, he said, we deserve to have the best and we're building for the generations after AIDS.
I understand that there's a board reunion coming up, a 25th anniversary reunion of surviving members of the first and continuing boards of the center. Can you tell me what you're thinking about as this massive gathering gets underway?
Well, I'm really hoping that a lot of people get to come back because there are a lot of people dispersed. I mean, when you add up everybody who's ever been on the board, I think it's a couple hundred people. But I've known every board member from the founding board till now. An amazing collection of people, and the role has changed. It's really fascinating to see, as the building has changed, as we have evolved our programs, how the board has moved from meeting once a week and buying the first filing cabinet and the first answering machine, I mean literally, and then figuring out where to get the banner made to march in the Pride Parade in June, to being a fundraising strategic planning board today.
So 25 years ago when you signed on as a consultant, could you have imagined that 25 years later you would still be working at the center?
I've been able to be here for 25 years because I haven't had the same job. You know, every couple of years it has morphed into something else. So it isn't like doing the same thing for 25 years, it's about doing a million things for 25 years in a slightly different fashion, but all within this umbrella, this great, wonderful vision about an institution that's going to both reflect the community and support the community in ways that we don't even know for sure going forward, but where we know we have a place to start from and a place to receive the wisdom of the community in terms of what we need to do next.
Last month, Center Kids, Center Families hosted their annual Men Having Babies program. A panel of fathers, gestational carriers, lawyers, doctors, and surrogacy providers presented information to wannabe parents with a special focus on how to reduce costs. You can listen to an audio podcast of the entire panel. Go to gaycenter.org/out for the link.
This is fantastic. Thank you all very much for coming. My name is Terry Bogus, and I'm the director of Center Kids, which is the family program here at the LGBT Community Center. We're sort of late bloomers in New York with surrogacy. It was alive in other parts of the country a bit earlier than here, mostly because it's not a legal procedure here, so you have to step outside the state lines to actually make it happen. So it was a bit more challenging for our guys in New York. But luckily, you know, the expression, the mountain came to Mohammed. The surrogacy organizations that are so prominent elsewhere in the country have established footholds in New York and are coming here and making it easier for our guys to do this. There are a lot of pathways to this method of creating a family, and Jeff did not work through an agency. He did his surrogacy independently. So that's a whole different process and perspective, and we appreciate you being here to share it. Thanks, Jeff.
We chose to work independently because of a number of reasons. We felt that we didn't really want to pay an agency to do something that we felt pretty confident doing ourselves. We started to study surrogacy for some time before we actually started to move forward with it, so we felt like we had become fairly educated on the whole process. We also, for us, it was really important to have flexibility in putting all of the pieces together. We wanted to be able to get the right people for us. So we wanted to be able to select our own attorney. We wanted to be able to select our own medical care providers. We wanted to be able to select our own surrogate. I think a lot of it comes down to personal choice and what you're comfortable with. And again, if you are willing to do the work and put in the effort to do things independently and willing to deal with some of the risks of traditional surrogacy, then it might be a consideration. I always find it distressing when I talk to gay men who are like, you know, I don't have $80,000 to $150,000. I'm never going to be able to have a baby. And my response is, it doesn't have to be that way. When all was said and done, the process to have our son cost about $35,000. And again, legally, we had every I dotted and every T crossed, and we had terrific support through the entire process and an amazing little boy as a result.
You can come to some agencies, we're one, which you can do traditional surrogacy at, and probably not 35, but it's more like 45. Or you can actually come to agencies like ourselves where if you find your own gestational carrier or traditional surrogate, I think Melissa will do this as well, we have a very small fee to help you through the process or to just do the legal work for you. I think our help you through the process is about $4,000. It sounds like Jeff really did it right, but it's a lot of work, and there's so many little ways it could have gone wrong.
The best way to save money is really to do some of the pieces on your own. But if you really can afford all the costs involved in going to an agency or a full-service law firm, you will get all of those pieces put together for you and have a lot less to do on your own. So like in our office, when people come to our office and say, how can I save money? I say, well, you can find the carrier on your own. You can bring us the carrier, you can bring a family member, you can bring a friend, you can bring her through a Surromom advertisement, and you will save a significant amount of money. But sometimes that does bring more headaches. It means that you do have to spend the time responding to all those ads online, and you do have to vet out a lot of responses, which you won't necessarily, unless you educate yourself, have the knowledge to know that you may be wasting your time. For instance, most clinics won't accept somebody who's had a tattoo within the last 4 months due to FDA guidelines, and most of you won't know unless you're educated enough to ask somebody, have you had a tattoo or a body piercing within the last 4 months? But I always advise people, don't save costs on the screening, because the screening is not a place to skimp. The attorney, the doctor, the psychologist, the criminal background check, the home study, that's not an area that you should be saving costs, because you should be making sure that all of those things are still done. There are also a couple of scholarships available. They are very hard to get, so in order to apply, you do have to be at a baseline income. I serve on one of the boards of Fertile Dreams, and they offer 2 $10,000 IVF scholarships to both gay and heterosexual couples every year, and you could apply on fertiledreams.org, but you do have to submit copies of your tax return, and if you have a combined income of like $150,000, it would really be a waste of time to apply because you wouldn't meet the cut. But then also INSID and a few other organizations do offer scholarships, but they are solely based on financial need.
And also Fertile Hope offers scholarships, and that's for people who have been affected by cancer.
I want to thank our panel. They were abundant and wonderful.
On Saturday, November 1st, the Fabulous Women of New York City will gather at Pier 60 on the Hudson River for a gala evening of cocktails, dinner, dancing, and a silent auction raising funds for the services the center offers lesbian, bi, and transgender women. This year, they will be joined by cast members from the L Word, so mark your calendars now for the must-attend event of the season.
Are you ready? It's time. You know, creme de la femmes, you have to let them get ready, which is in pearls and leather.
I do. I want to go in and see all the outfits.
Let's just see if they have a table for us. Do you see how many fabulous people are at this event? Here's to you.
Principals from the Big Four accounting firms share their experiences of coming out and being out in corporate America in a program called Not So Straight to the Top.
Not So Straight to the Top, I found that to be an amazing title. And working in a construction company as a gay person is not an easy thing. I am not totally out. I am still, after all these years, trying to see how one maybe sets the example, because the construction world is also full of gays, but there is never that first one that comes out and says, I'm gay. So I am thrilled to hear tonight to see how the big corporations and those that became partners in the big companies managed, and maybe they will share with us their life experiences and their work experiences.
I just assumed that I was going to have to be in the closet. I already had my mind made up and set, but I just knew that I was not going to be able to be out, is what I thought, just based on all the literature I'd read, people I'd spoken to. The first project that I worked on was with someone that I knew was out, an openly gay senior manager, and it just it came up naturally, actually. And once that first time happened, it just became a whole lot easier.
I found that every time I did tell my personal story, I had another way to connect with people. I would learn something about them that I didn't expect. They may have a brother or a sister who was gay. They may have some other way to connect with me that I had not even anticipated. So I think I was limiting myself, and I wasn't giving the other people enough credit by withholding information as long as I did.
I really just think that I put myself out there every day, just who I am, take it or leave it. And, maybe it's because I'm old enough that the partnership's almost ready to force me out. You do have to retire at a certain age. And so I always tease people I'm at the what the hell stage of my partnership.
Do you look at it as a disadvantage? You can look at it in many different ways depending on your particular situation. But I happen to be gay. I also happen to be half African American and half Hispanic. So in theory, 3 strikes against me? No. It's you be honest about who you are, and I think if you're honest about who you are, other people are very comfortable.
When you go to a partner meeting, even if it's just U.S. partners, like you're there with 2,000 of your best friends, most of whom you don't know, and then when you look around, you're lucky if 200 of those 2,000 people are women. And then you're also like, who else is, gay? Oh, well, you really can't tell that. So one of the other partners and I actually decided, we pushed an email out to the sort of blind list of partners and agreed to meet in a room to see what would happen. So it was the best partner meeting I've ever been to because it was me and 12 gay men doing karaoke together for the evening.
I got invited into the office, managing partner's office in Detroit the next day, and he said, Chris, we've taken a look at what the firm is doing in Chicago around gay pride, and we're sadly at a deficit in Detroit in participating in any of the events. In fact, we don't even know what the events are, and we realized that was a bad place to start. And he suggested that I would, immediately lead the charge in Detroit and make Detroit an example, not just in the Midwest, but in the firm.
I think we as out gay partners, and this is happening a whole lot more, we're comfortable, certainly talking about this. I think we need to get our straight allies more comfortable talking about these things at the leadership levels. I think that if you can, someone who is known, people know, or is straight, a senior leader in our firm, speaking to younger staff, if some of these, these supporting kind of messages are coming from people who aren't gay, I think it's actually much more compelling.
The Center is a founding member of the New York State LGBT Health and Human Services Network, securing funding that supports work and services for queer health and wellness needs. For one initiative, Center Media produced a video message to increase awareness of issues around crystal methamphetamine in New York communities. This next message takes a look at how you might educate yourself about crystal meth in Buffalo.
Oh yeah, crystal meth is definitely here in Buffalo. I do work in a bar here in Buffalo, so we do see a lot of crystal meth use.
When I was in high school, I had a friend of mine who ended up dropping out because he became a meth addict.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I've definitely known people who've tried it at least once. I'm definitely curious to see what that sort of high would be like.
From what I heard, it's like a high as being on cloud 9.
It makes you stay up longer, and it enhances sex and things like that.
I have one person in particular who I was pretty close to that actually died from an overdose of meth.
I think black men are at risk. A lot of them are partying a lot, they're going through the lifestyle.
The thing that stops me from using crystal meth is the idea of losing that much control.
It completely ruins people's lives, and that's
I worked too hard to get where I am to have it all thrown away.
As a gay community, to respond the same way we did with the HIV epidemic and kind of pull together and talk about the sex, talk about crystal meth, talk about drugs, just like we did with HIV.
At the Pride Center, I've seen like stuff at their website.
I've actually heard of the Crystal Clear campaign that's run by the Pride Center.
It's a power rush, a burning bush. You make me wanna fly. Oh, in and out of this traffic jam, dangerous and without a plan.
The center hosted a benefit stage reading of Terrence McNally's Lisbon Traviata. Here are some excerpts from the evening that portrayed one man's fevered quest for a bootleg recording of Maria Callas singing La Traviata in Lisbon.
It's to die.
La Traviata.
I can just see her jet black hair parted in the middle, a chignon in the black, flashing eyes, that white dress with the red carnation, the use of the fan.
Just a minute.
And the gloves, long white kid gloves over the elbow. God, she was beautiful, the glory, the glory!
Okay, I think I've got it. Traviata, London, June 20th, 1958, with Cesar Valetti and Mario Zanazzi.
Hello, discophile. You don't sound familiar, are you new? He's new. Be still, my beating heart. Do you have a copy of the Callas Lisbon Traviata? The Callas Lisbon Traviata. The Callas, big C, little A, double L-A-S, Lisbon Traviata. It's a pirate. Thank you. I'm too much for most people. I can't help it. It's genetic. Stephen, please, please.
It's just a record.
That's easy for you to say. You've already heard it. Is it good?
I told you it's fantastic. You invited me for music, for conversation, not for this. What about Marilyn Horne's Tancredi from Dallas last year?
It's in the country.
Everything good you have is in the country.
Everything good you have, like the Lisbon Traviata, is only 8 blocks from here. Maria never flatted in her entire life. Shot? Yes. Flatted? Never.
Maybe it was something she ate, a rancid paella or something. I don't know, Mendy. But she flatted in Lisbon just like Marilyn Horne sharped in Dallas.
Here. What's that?
What do you think?
You didn't have to do that.
It was on the way. It's no big deal.
I was only kidding. Come in. Stephen's still here.
I'm dripping.
Darling, these rugs were in the original production of Kismet with Otis Skinner.
I've got a cab waiting. We're running late.
Bring your friend up, a little dessert coffee.
Some other time.
That was very sweet of him. Every time I swear I'm never going to speak to him, he does something like this. Did you get a look at the chippy?
No.
I can't wait to hear this. Who are you calling?
Our machine, I forgot to tell him something.
I don't believe this. He brought the London Traviata! It's the same one I have. Do you believe this? I don't, Stephen, it's the wrong Traviata!
London, Lisbon, they're all the same to him.
His heart was in the right place. He's basically a wonderful man. I hate him! Beep. Mike, it's Mendy. You want to pick up? Hello? Don't tell me you're not back yet. What did you two go see? Berlin Exaunderplatz? All right, I guess you're not there. You brought the wrong one. It's the Lisbon Traviata I'm after. Call me just as soon as you come in. I'll be up all night, really. 4, 5 a.m. How could I sleep knowing there's a new Maria? Nessun dorma. Nessun dorma. Hello? Mike? Beep.
Hello, Stephen. It's your mother. Nothing important, just calling to say hi. You don't have to call back if you don't want to. I love you. It's your mother.
You been here long?
I just got here.
What time is it?
I'm a little early, sorry.
We'll be out of your way.
I haven't said you're in it. There's no rush.
How was your evening?
Great.
I guess if I understood what they were singing about,
Love and death. That's all they're ever singing about. There's an occasional anvil chorus, but it's basically boy meets girl, boy gets girl, boy and girl croak. That's all you need to know, from Aida to Zaida. I'll take you sometime.
I'd be over my head.
God
damn it, Mendy.
What did I say? Well, I still know how to clear a room. Stephen, what are you doing down there? Oh my God, Stephen, you're bleeding. What happened?
Michael hit me.
Why?
He didn't want me to listen to Wojciech.
Be serious.
Well, you didn't want to listen to Wojciech either.
Go home. Go home and put on a record. I'll take care of Stephen.
Go, I'll call you.
When?
Soon, I promise.
I suppose the Lisbon Traviata is completely out of the question. I'm going.
Is Mendy successful in his quest for the Lisbon Traviata? You can listen to a full-length audio podcast to find out. Go to gaycenter.org/out for the link. And that's all for this edition of Out at the Center. As the credits roll, we will watch some highlights from the Homecoming Open House last month when the Center celebrated 25 years with the community and the arrival of the writers from Breaking the Cycle. This year, the ride raised over $414,000 for the HIV/AIDS services the Center provides. Thank you for watching. I'm Emmanuel Xavier. Goodbye.
Today is something called Homecoming for the Center. You know, the Center is celebrating its 25th anniversary in 2008.
It feels great to just be in a big gay celebration.
There's so much history here, and just, all the people are just really excited to be out.
I've been a volunteer for the last 7 years. I started with Center Bingo.
It's actually shamefully the first time that I've been to the center, but it's been such a great day, and there's so many wonderful resources here.
We're very appreciative to the center for providing this space, this inclusive space, where we can participate in this great sport.
Next year, are you going to do Boston?
Next year, Boston. I cannot wait.
Every year, the Center provides 5,000 counseling sessions for people living with and affected by HIV/AIDS, and more than 1,000 teens come to the Center for HIV prevention, leadership training, and services. Many Center clients would have nowhere else to turn. Fully 1/4 of the people benefiting from the Center's HIV/AIDS services are uninsured or have inadequate insurance to meet their health and social service needs, and all of the Center's programs and services are offered free of charge to all of them.
Lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, or straight. This deadly virus does not discriminate.
This legislative body is justly proud to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the LGBT Center, which is celebrated today. Today, we are declaring in New York State LGBT Center Day.
Many of the riders and crew participated in memory of loved ones lost. At this time, we want to take a moment to remember their lives and their love. I ask you to join us in a moment of silence.